Okay, let's unpack this. Picture it. You've planned that perfect winter escape to, say, Montego Bay, Jamaica. It's early 2025. Sun, sand.
The dream trip.
Exactly. But then disaster strikes. Hurricane Melissa, a monster Category 4, takes an unexpected turn and just barrels right into the island.
Ugh, yeah. Total nightmare scenario. Infrastructure goes down, airports close.
And you, a U.S. citizen, are suddenly stranded, cut off.
It really is the traveler's worst fear.
Yeah.
And what we need to do today in this deep dive is get real about what happens next. It's not just about waiting for help.
Right. It's about understanding the actual official U.S. government response structure in a crisis like this. We need to cut through those, Hollywood ideas of immediate rescue.
Absolutely. Forget the assumptions. We need to know what you have to do versus what the government realistically can and will do.
So our mission here, and we're pulling directly from official U.S. Department of State guidance, crisis response protocols, even post-flood health advice, it's to pull out the practical, actionable steps, the stuff you need to know to survive and get home.
And look, if there's one single thing you absolutely must do before you even pack your bags for Jamaica or anywhere international, it's enrolling in STEP.
STEP, the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program.
Exactly. It's free, takes a few minutes online, and crucially, when Hurricane Melissa hits Jamaica, this is how the U.S. Embassy in Kingston sends out vital alerts. Security updates, health warnings, weather info.
So it's not just about getting warnings out, it's about them knowing how to reach you.
Precisely. It establishes that communication channel before everything goes haywire. And critically, it gives them your emergency contact info back in the States, just in case you're completely unreachable on the ground. It's your fundamental link.
Okay, so let's jump into the immediate aftermath. The storms pass, maybe things are a wreck, communication is dicey, you need to reach someone. If the local embassy line in Kingston isn't working, what are those official crisis numbers the State Department provides?
Yeah, this is important. They have dedicated central lines designed to work even if local systems are down.
Yeah.
They route back to operations in D.C. So if you find a working phone, maybe a satellite phone.
The numbers?
Okay, from the U.S. or Canada, it's 1-888-407-4747.
Got it.
And if you're calling from outside the U.S., like from Jamaica, it's +1-202-501-4444.
Okay, those are the main fallback numbers. But let's be realistic. After a Cat 4 hurricane hits Jamaica, voice calls on regular phones. Probably not happening.
Highly unlikely. Voice networks get overloaded or just damaged, so don't bank on making a call.
So what might work? How do you let family know you're okay?
Think data, not voice. Text messages often squeeze through when calls won't. Same for social media updates or using apps like WhatsApp or Signal, assuming you can find some kind of internet connection, even if it's spotty. Update your family and friends first through those channels.
Makes sense. And how does the State Department try to reach you, assuming you're in STEP?
They use a layered approach. STEPKey's emails are primary if email is working, but they might also set up online crisis intake forms if they can. They'll push info through local media too, TV, radio, maybe even SMS blasts if the cell towers are partially functional.
And you mentioned something about volunteers.
Right, citizen liaison volunteers,
Yeah.
CLVs. These are often American expats or trusted locals already in Jamaica who help the embassy get the word out physically. In areas where the power's out, internet's down. They're like the human network on the ground.
Okay. Contact established, maybe. Now, the really big question, the assumption many Americans probably have. Okay, I'm stranded. The U.S. military is coming to get me.
And here's where the State Department guidance delivers a very stark reality check.
Let's hear it.
The official advice is blunt. The best time to leave Jamaica was before Hurricane Melissa hit, or right at the beginning while commercial flights were still an option. If you have a safe way to leave on your own, even after the storm, you need to take it.
So, fend for yourself first.
Essentially, yes. And the official warning directly from them is, do not expect to be evacuated by the U.S. government.
Wow. Do not expect it. That's explicit.
It is. They emphasize that government-coordinated evacuations are rare. They only happen when commercial options are truly gone, and only if it's safe enough for them to even attempt it.
Okay, so if they manage to coordinate some kind of transport, what are the limits? What can't they do?
Right. Understanding the limits is key. First, they generally cannot provide transportation within Jamaica. If you're stranded in, say, Negril, and the evacuation point is Kingston, getting there is likely your problem. Resources are stretched thin. Security is an issue.
Okay, no local taxi service from the embassy.
Pretty much. Second, they generally don't evacuate non-U.S. citizens. If you're traveling with family who aren't U.S. citizens, they need to contact their country's embassy for help.
That's a tough situation for mixed nationality families.
Definitely. And finally, pets. Unless it's a documented service animal, don't expect your pet to get a spot on any evacuation transport. There might be exceptions, but the default is no.
Okay, now let's talk about the cost. This is something I think will surprise a lot of people. Even if the government does arrange that rare evacuation flight or boat out of devastated Jamaica, it's not free.
Correct. This is probably the single biggest misunderstanding. Any U.S. government-coordinated transportation out of a crisis zone is provided on a reimbursable basis. It's essentially a loan.
A loan, while you're trying to escape a disaster zone.
Yes. You'll actually have to sign paperwork,
Yeah.
Form DS-5528, which is basically a promissory note. You're agreeing to repay the cost of your evacuation.
Huh. Okay, so how do they figure out the cost? Is it like the actual charter flight price divided by the number of people?
It's calculated based on the cost of a comparable commercial one-way flight on the route just before the crisis hit, or the actual cost per person, whichever's lower. They try to keep it tied to a standard fare.
And where are they taking you? Straight back to Miami.
Not usually. No. The goal is to get you out of immediate danger. So the transport is typically to a nearby safe location, maybe another Caribbean island that wasn't hit, or possibly a designated safe haven city in the region.
Yeah.
It's usually not directly back to the U.S. mainland.
So you get flown on loan to somewhere else safe, and then getting home from there is on you.
Largely, yes. Once you're in that designated safe location, you're generally expected to arrange your own onward travel back to the States.
Okay. What if you've genuinely lost everything in the hurricane? Wallet, cards, cash gone. How do you even pay for essentials, let alone think about repaying an evacuation flight?
There is a mechanism for that immediate dire need. It's separate from the evacuation loan. You can request emergency financial assistance from a consular officer at the embassy or consulate.
That's another loan.
Yes, it's another type of emergency loan specifically for U.S. citizens who are destitute abroad. It's meant to cover essential costs to keep you safe and help you arrange departure, like buying a commercial ticket home if that becomes possible later.
All right, let's shift gears from the bureaucracy to survival on the ground. We're in Jamaica, post-Hurricane Melissa. Flooding is widespread. That means serious health risks. What's priority number one?
Water and food safety. Immediately. Floodwater, especially after a major hurricane, is almost certainly contaminated. Think sewage, chemicals, debris.
Nasty stuff.
Extremely. So the absolute top rule, do not eat any food that might have come into contact with floodwater, period.
What about refrigerators and freezers? Power's likely been out for hours, maybe days.
You have to be strict. Official guidance says toss refrigerated or frozen foods after just 4 hours without power. When in doubt, throw it out. It's not worth the risk of getting seriously ill.
Okay, be ruthless with the fridge. What about canned goods? Say you find some tins that look okay.
Home canned food that was submerged. Unsafe. Toss it. But undamaged, commercially canned food, that can be salvaged.
Ow.
First, you have to remove the paper label. You can't really disinfect paper. Then wash the can thoroughly and disinfect the entire outside of the can.
Disinfect with what?
Use a bleach solution. The recommended mix is 1/4 cup of regular household bleach per 1 gallon of clean water. Let it soak or wipe it down well.
And for babies, if you have formula?
This is critical. Breastfeeding is safest. If using formula, only use factory-sealed, pre-mixed liquid formula. Absolutely do not use powdered formula mixed with water unless you are certain the water is purified, boiled, or properly disinfected. Contaminated water and formula can be deadly for infants.
Okay, food and water covered. What about just basic hygiene, washing hands, dealing with cuts if you're mucking out flood damage?
Vital. Basic hygiene prevents a lot of disease spread. Only use water that you know is safe boiled or disinfected for washing hands, especially before eating, after using the toilet, or after handling anything contaminated.
And if you get cuts or scrapes exposed to that flood water?
Clean any open wound immediately and thoroughly with soap and safe water. Apply an antibiotic ointment. Keep it covered with a clean bandage. And watch it closely.
Watch for what?
Signs of infection. Increasing redness, swelling, warmth, pus, or drainage. If you see any of that, you need to find medical help as soon as possible. Floodwater infections can get serious fast.
Right. And after the floods, inevitably, come the mosquitoes.
Oh yeah. Standing water everywhere means mosquito populations explode. And they carry diseases. They're most active around dawn and dusk.
So what's the defense strategy?
Remember, drain, cover, cover. First, drain any standing water you can find. Empty tires, buckets, planters, even bottle caps. anywhere water collects.
Get rid of the breeding ground.
Exactly. Then, cover your skin. Wear long sleeves, long pants, socks, especially during those peak mosquito hours, and cover exposed skin with an effective insect repellent.
What kind of repellent works best? Any precautions for kids?
Look for repellents with D, ideally 10 to 30% concentration. Picaridin's another good option, or oil of lemon eucalyptus. But there are important age restrictions.
Okay, what are they?
DEED shouldn't be used on infants under 2 months old, and oil of lemon eucalyptus isn't recommended for kids under 3 years old.
So for very young babies.
The best protection is physical. Use mosquito netting draped over their carrier or crib. Keep them covered that way.
That's incredibly practical advice. Okay, one last major hurdle. Your passport. In the chaos of a storm or an evacuation, it's easily lost, damaged, or even stolen. What's the drill if your passport goes missing in Jamaica?
First step, and do this as soon as you realize it's gone. Report it lost or stolen online to the State Department.
Why immediately online?
Because they will electronically invalidate that passport number, usually within a business day. This prevents anyone else from using it for travel or identity theft. It protects you.
Okay, report it online. Then what?
Then you have to go in person to the U.S. Embassy or consulate, in this case, Kingston. You can't just mail something in. You need an appointment.
What do you need to bring, assuming you might have lost other ID too?
It's tough, but bring whatever you do have. Definitely a new passport photo. They have specific size requirements, usually 2 by 2 inches or 5 by 5 centimeters. Bring any form of identification you possess, like a driver's license, a student ID, even an expired passport can help.
Anything else?
Yes. Proof of U.S. citizenship if possible, like a copy of your birth certificate maybe stored online, or a consular report of birth abroad. And bring your travel itinerary proof that you need to travel urgently, like info about that potential evacuation flight.
And how quickly can they actually issue something if you need to get on that transport now?
For urgent situations, they can issue what's called a limited validity emergency passport. It's usually only good for up to a year, sometimes just for the direct return trip.
How fast?
They can often process these fairly quickly, sometimes even by the next business day. But keep in mind, embassies usually can't issue passports on weekends or local holidays, which could cause delays.
Is there any way around the passport fee? Replacing one is expensive, and if you're wiped out by the disaster.
Yes, there is a potential fee waiver. If you are the victim of a serious crime or a major disaster like Hurricane Melissa, and you genuinely cannot afford the fee, you may qualify for a free, limited validity emergency passport. You'd need to explain your circumstances to the consular officer.
Okay, so pulling all this together from our deep dive. Preparation is everything. That step enrollment isn't optional, it's foundational.
Absolutely.
Then you have to plan for self-reliance first. Don't assume an immediate rescue flight is coming.
Manage those expectations. Know the limitations.
Be incredibly careful about health and safety on the ground, especially contaminated water and food. Follow those hygiene rules religiously.
Your health is your responsibility in that situation.
And finally, know the exact steps for reporting and replacing a lost passport before you need it.
Have copies of documents stored securely online. Know the embassy location and those emergency numbers.
Right. And you mentioned something earlier, a kind of final, sobering thought about those evacuation loans.
Ah, yes, the long tail of the crisis. If you do take part in a U.S. government-coordinated evacuation, and therefore take on that debt for the transport.
The loan we talked about.
Exactly. If you later fail to repay that debt, according to the terms, the State Department can and likely will refuse to issue you a new full validity passport, the standard 10-year one, until that debt is fully paid off or you've established a formal repayment plan with them.
Wow. So that evacuation rescue could prevent you from traveling internationally years down the road if you don't settle the bill.
It absolutely can. It links your future travel privileges directly to repaying the cost of that emergency assistance. It underscores the seriousness of that promissory note you signed.
That definitely puts a different perspective on things. A powerful reason to check those travel advisories and definitely sign up for STEP well before your next trip abroad.
Couldn't agree more. Preparation is key.